Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's workshop on zine making for you and me. There's my face. So I am Filomena Jack, and I am a maker. I make books and paintings and murals and things that look like graffiti, but they're actually legally painted on the sides of buildings. But today we want to talk about making zines. And I hope that maybe your first question is like, what the heck is a zine? What is a zine? Well, it's short for magazine, and it's a small handmade book or a booklet. Oftentimes, if it is Xeroxed or if it's photocopied, oftentimes it's less than 100 in a series, but for every rule that you can come up with, you can come up with another rule because these are independent created little books. And that means that individuals come up with ideas and they want to share those ideas with other people. So they will make maybe a zine to talk about their ideas. And most of all, they are fun. They are fun to make. So what is it that you're going to need today? You're going to need a piece of paper that folds pretty easily, like a piece of paper that you might put into a printer, or you could take a piece of paper that a big square of paper that you'd use for scrapbooking, those big 12 by 12 inch squares. But you don't need anything super fancy. So we're going to use some sort of piece of paper. And you can see this is a scrap of paper that I got from my printer when my printer did a test. You need a pair of scissors, and make sure they're scissors that it's okay to cut paper with, because sometimes we have scissors that we only use for, let's say, cutting up fabric. So you want to use scissors that it's okay for you to use on paper. And eventually you're going to want to decorate your zine. So what is it that you like to decorate your zine with? So this is my favorite thin Sharpie marker, but I have a lot of these markers around, these black Sharpie markers. You can use colored markers. If you had paper that you could make water marks on, it's like watercolor paper. If you were able to fold it, you could use watercolors. You could use alcohol inks. You can use things that you get out of a magazine. So if it's okay for you to cut up a magazine, please make sure you ask first. You can maybe get inspired by some images that you see on a magazine. So I saw this in an old magazine that was being discarded. It said The Catnapper, and that made me excited. And then I went and I found this picture of a kitty, and then I started drawing on it. So we'll get back to the different kinds of zines you can make, but just so you know, in the beginning, all you need is regular, easy to find paper, a pair of scissors that's okay for you to use for paper, some sort of marking tool, and your imagination. Yay. So let's talk a little bit more about the history of zines and why we make them and what are they for. So some people say that the first zine was found during the Revolutionary War here in the US. It was used as a way to promote a propaganda campaign for the war, or maybe against the war, depending on how you were looking at it. So there are some theories about that, but a lot of zines really started being put into the public in the 1930s and the 1940s in Chicago, with a group of folks who were really enthusiastic about sci-fi fiction and fantasy. So if you've ever thought about creating fan fiction for something in pop culture that you like, maybe a zine is the way to go. Maybe you want to continue the story. Maybe you want to continue the story of Hermione from Harry Potter. Maybe you want to continue her story, and maybe you'll make a little zine about it. Maybe you want to have a zine that is your own you create your own world, your own sci-fi world. That would be appropriate since it seems that the first zines were created in the 1930s and 40s, all having to do with sci-fi and fantasy. Then in the 1970s through the 1990s, and I would say even today, the punk rock scene really got excited about zines. They were easy to make, they were easy to distribute, to talk about bands, to talk about the music culture, to talk about punk rock culture. It's really especially exciting that a lot of women got involved in zines during this time, the 70s through the 1990s. And again, I would say even today, because I am a woman artist and I make zines. So still, I think it's important in the history of publishing, the history of bookmaking, that zines are really important to the punk rock movement and especially women. If you look up the Riot Girl movement, you'll see a lot of zines were created in that time. There's a lot of people who use zines for activism and underground groups. So maybe, so for instance, maybe you want to help people understand why they should eat more vegetables, and your activism is around eating more vegetables. Creating a zine is a great way to do that. So let's go to our next slide. Our next slide is before we start folding and cutting our paper, I think it would be a good idea to think about what is your theme for making a zine. Maybe it's poetry. So why do you want to create a zine? Do you want to teach somebody something? Maybe you want to teach them how to cook something, how to make something in the kitchen, or how to make a fill in the blank. Maybe it's how to make a puppet. Maybe you took the workshop earlier today here at Empire State Maker Faire about making puppets. Maybe it's how to make a fort out of pillows. And maybe you want to teach everyone the best ways to make a fort. Maybe you want to create a zine because you want to share. Maybe you want to share some fun facts. You could make a zine about the fun facts of making a zine. Oh my gosh, that would be terrific. Maybe you wanted to share highlights from a trip that you took. Maybe you went to a museum and you wanted a place to put your name tag in there, or maybe you wanted to share a postcard and you could put it into your zine. Maybe you wanted to share some poetry that you wrote or that you heard somewhere else or read somewhere else, and you wanted to do commentary on the poetry. Or maybe you wanted to create a zine that is full of stories that you're creating. Or maybe you want to create a zine for something that you're collecting. Maybe you like to collect stickers. I remember when I was younger, I used to collect stickers, and especially scratch and sniff stickers where you could scratch the sticker, and it would smell like root beer or something. Maybe you collect stamps, and creating a little zine is a perfect way to collect your stamps. So, you know, the sky is the limit. I want you to use your imagination. So we're going to use paper and we're going to use some pens and a pair of scissors, but mostly I would love for you to create a zine from your imagination. Okay, I'm going to move this out of the way for now, and we will talk about Patreon later. But for right now, I would like to start talking about what kinds of papers you could use. We talked about this earlier. So again, this paper that comes right out of your printer is very good, but here is my suggestion. So if you weren't paying attention, ears up, people, ears up. If you're going to be making photocopies or Xeroxes of your zine, don't use colored paper. Don't use colored paper if you're going to be creating multiples of this by making a scan and then printing it. Use white paper, because if you use colored paper, the scanner will try to replicate this yellow color as well. It's much better if you make your original on white paper. You want to make your original on white paper if you're going to be creating Xeroxes. You can eventually make photocopies on any color you like, but start with your original design on some white paper. If you are going to make a one-off zine, and a one-off zine is sort of like this one I was showing you before, where I don't intend to make a photocopy of this. I'm just going to create this little magazine all about the story of this cat that is very tired, and he is the catnapper. So I'm going to go through and create a story based on this. I don't intend to make photocopies of it, so I can use any kind of paper I want. But I would suggest that if you're going to be using this in a photocopier, use the right size, which is photocopy paper. This is 8.5 by 11, and use white paper. Okay, are you ready to start folding? I'm excited. Listen, I want you to take a deep breath. I want you to relax your shoulders. I want you to not worry if you don't get this perfectly perfect the first time. It's okay. We're here to practice. So let's start by folding our paper like a veggie burger. So I teach in an elementary school, and whenever we're folding paper, we talk about hamburger folds and hot dog folds. So I like to say a veggie burger. I'm going to create a veggie burger fold. So if I turn my paper so that the short side is closer to my belly, I'm going to make a fold so it's folded right in half. And friends, don't make the folds too perfectly perfect right now. We will make the folds perfectly perfect in a little while, but for right now, just a loose fold is good enough. You can see that I haven't squeezed down on this fold very hard. Don't worry about that for right now. Then I can open up. You can see my center fold here. I'm going to take the left side or the right side, it doesn't matter, and I'm going to fold into the middle again. So I'm doing another fold, and I'm folding lightly. I'm not making perfectly perfect tight folds yet. If you are used to origami, sometimes in origami, you have to make really crisp folds, and maybe you'll use a bone folder or something to get really tight, crisp folds, but right now we don't need that. So I did one side, and now I'm going to do the other side. And I am trying to fold this as neatly as possible, but again, if it is not perfectly perfect, it is fine. So right now, I folded this in half, I opened it. Now I fold to one side and I can open, I can fold to the other side and I can open. Now we will do the veggie dog fold. So the veggie dog fold, the hamburger fold is like this, right? The hot dog fold is like this. Ooh, and I have some glitter on my table from other things I was making. So I am going to match up those folds that I made before. I'm just gonna try to do my best. If it isn't perfectly perfect, like I said before, no a big deal. And I'm gonna fold. And again, I don't have to worry too much if I don't fold it perfectly tight, get it really crisp just yet, because we're going to be doing some magic sauce, and that magic sauce is going to give us other folds in other directions. So that's why we don't have to fold perfectly just yet. Okay, so our page is back open, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different areas on our page. And let's see, I have a sample on my table of what that looks like when I open up. So this is the same thing. I just did the same thing, and I did the cut. I will talk about the cut in a minute. So right now we have 8 sections. We have page 1, 2, 3, and 4, page 5 and 6. We have a back cover and a front cover, and you'll see that all in a moment. Okay, so we have our paper. I'm going to hamburger fold that again. And now we need to make a cut. So I have my paper open. I fold it back like that veggie burger. And right here, and I'm going to use a marker so that you can see exactly where I'm cutting. I am stopping here and going all the way to the edge. And at home, if you've been folding along, you'll see you have a fold line there because that was one of the first folds that we made, where we started and where we stopped. And it's important not to go beyond this intersection here. So we have an intersection of folds, but we don't want to go past that intersection. I made a little dot there to indicate that. Now I'm going to take my scissors. I'm cutting through both sides here. So I have the fold of my paper and I am cutting. And I am stopping right there. And so now I have this sort of mouth. Okay. If I were to open this up so that you could see it from an aerial perspective, here's my piece of paper, and now I have this cut in it right here. And that is all you need as far as other tools are involved. You can put your scissors away. Don't run around your art studio with your scissors. You can put your scissors away. Okay, so here is the least easy part. I didn't say it was hard. I'm just saying it is the least easy part of what we are going to be doing today. Are you ready? Are you ready? We need to get our page to fold in sort of a strange way. So maybe the best way to start this is to make a tent. So this is, let me get my hand out of the way. We're sort of making a tent. And I have my left hand here and my right hand here, squeezing the paper, holding it between my fingers. And if I bring my hands together, I am creating this sort of diamond shape. And I'm eventually going to get it to meet as closely as I can, like this. So we have our flat piece of paper. We make a tent. We hold the paper on the left side and the right side, and we push the paper together. Told you there was some magic in here. Okay, so now I've got this area right here, and I've got this area right here. Maybe you think it looks like a star. I've pushed it together. And now I'm going to put it down on my table. And this is a good thing to do on a table. So not so much on your lap, not just hanging out in the air. You know, sometimes, you know, you just get so excited and you just want to put stuff in the air. I'm going to ask you to put it on the table, squeeze together. And now I'm going to make this page, because here are some pages that we've created, go in one direction. And this page go in the opposite direction. And now you just take a couple of moments to get things aligned. So see how I move the paper left to right. And now is the time, if you have a bone folder or something you want to use to get your folds very crisp, now is the time to make crisp folds. In the beginning, we didn't make crisp folds because this thing happens where the pages kind of have to fold backwards. And so by not making super crisp folds in the beginning, we saved ourselves a little work. Okay, so now it looks like this. And now you're going to just fold it into a book shape. Da, 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 da. And then you're going to give yourself a high five. Woo, woo. All right, so I'm going to do all of that again. I hope that's okay with you. I want to make sure you get this. So we have a piece of paper. And guess what, friends? It doesn't matter which way you start. If you start with your veggie burger fold, or if you start with your veggie dog fold, It doesn't matter. And it doesn't matter the shape of your original paper. You will get different size zines depending on what you use. So this is a paper like we have right now, 8.5 by 11 just out of the printer. And this is paper that's used for scrapbooking that is 12 by 12 inches. So you can see they are different sizes, but whatever you decide to use for your zine, it doesn't really matter unless you are making photocopies. If you are making photocopies, it is a lot easier to use paper that is photocopier size, photocopier shape. So that's something to think about. But otherwise, it doesn't matter what size paper. You could use a huge sheet of paper. You could use tissue paper. That might be really cool. You can experiment with all different sizes and shapes. So we start with our veggie burger fold. Then we open up. And then we fold in one side. Again, you don't have to worry about making your folds too perfectly perfect. Then we fold in the other side. Bada bing, bada boom. Then we fold it in half, trying our best to line up those folds. Okay, so now we have our 8 divisions, which will be the 8 pages of our zine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, back cover, front cover. And it may look a little weird to you that notice that page 5 and 6 is upside down from pages 1 through 4, and that the back cover and the front cover are right next to each other. My goodness, I feel like that feels like magic to me. It may be a good idea for you to create a template like this for yourself. So fold a piece of paper and then mark it up just like I have here so that your life will be easier when you're actually designing your zine. So back to our folding. So I have done my hamburger. I have opened it up. I have done fold in, open up, fold in, open up. I've done my veggie dog, open up. And now I turn it into a hamburger, a veggie burger again. And I'm going to cut just until that first segment. I'm not going to go further than that. Now I make a tent, hands left and right, and I push together to make kind of a star. Oh, and I can see I wasn't as careful as I could have been. I was rushing. I should not have rushed, but I have a little lip here. I'm just going to go with it. This isn't going to be the most perfect one I've ever made, but it's okay. I'm practicing along with you. So I have this star shape. I'm folding one side to the right. I'll fold one side to the left. And then I will turn it into a book shape. And now is when I make sure everything is nice and secure. Okay, so you have some options now. You could design your zine right here, right now, with it all in book size and shape. So if your zine was going to be about, let's see, I'm going to make a zine. I'm going to call it Filomena's, because that's my name. Filomena's zine about Halloween. I like how it rhymes. Filomena zine about Halloween. And then I could take my time and decorate it, right? And then I could flip open. And my first page, maybe it is, maybe I'm going to do some artwork that looks like a pumpkin. So I can use both of these pages at once, or I could have just made one page at a time. It's a couple of ghosts hanging out. I could have just designed one page at a time, but I can use this as a double fold. Same thing here. If I go to this page, I could use one page at a time or a double fold. Same thing here. And then I have my back cover. And on my back cover, I always put the date. I always put the date. Or you could open up your paper. You could open up your paper and design it like this so that it's flat. You could actually do this before you even cut it. You don't have to cut it right away. If you wanted to design your insides of your zine before you cut it, you absolutely could. And because I have this template, I can be reminded of what page goes where, which pages are upside down, and where my back and my front cover is. So if I decided I wanted to start with my front cover, I know my front cover is actually at that fold. You turn it around, and this could be zine about soup. It's all going to be recipes about soup, right? And I know this is my back cover because I have my handy dandy template here, and I always put the date 20. And if your name isn't on it anywhere, please put your name on it by Filomena. Okay, so I could design my zine with it flat. Again, I didn't even need to cut it right away if I didn't want to. And because I have my template, I now know that page 1, page 2, page 3, page 4, 5, and 6 are upside down. I hope that the folding is working out for you at home. If for some reason your folding isn't working, you could always send me an email. I am at philomenajackstudio.com, and there is a link to send me a note, or philomenajackstudio@gmail.com. If this isn't working out for you right away, I would love to be able to help you. Okay, so some other super fun things about zines. They can be interactive. So I've created what I call Zine TV. So this started out as a piece of paper, just like we've been using from the printer. And I went and I cut a square out of page 2. So you can see right here. I've cut this square out. Boop, 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 boop. And then I folded a piece of paper that will fit into that square. I've made some glue marks, or rather, on this one, I use some washi tape. And I put washi tape so that this paper wouldn't slide around too much. And now, if I go quickly, you can see I have this animation of a heart coming in and out of the scene. So this is just a very simple animation. But think about all of the different stories you could tell in this zine using this very simple animation device. You could also work on the back side. I didn't have to cut this, but I cut this area too. And I could tell a story go top and bottom just like this. And the same thing, I just made some cuts. Here. So maybe we'll try one of those. Let's see. Maybe I'll try another one of those on a new sheet of paper. And again, if you are Xeroxing this, please start. I'll give you something to look at while I'm getting some more paper out. Please start with some white paper, because it's going to be easier for you to make photocopies if you start off with white paper. Okay, maybe I'll start with this zine that we started with before. So this is, again, we had it cut already. We pushed it together. One went left, one went right, and then we folded. So how I got the Zine TV action to happen is I started with, let's see, here is my cover. So I'm going to do it this time. Maybe I'll do it on a back page. So I'm going to need to make a cut right about here so that my paper will slip in. Or let's see, I have pages that are already cut. So this makes more sense. So I'm going to use this page here because there's already a slit in it. So all I'm going to do is decide on where my TV screen is going to be. And you can use a pencil and a ruler if you like. Let's see. I'm using a marker so that you can see what I'm doing. And this is one of my favorite markers. So let's see. I like drawing things freehand. I don't always use a ruler, but they are super handy, I have to say. That's very nice. It's very square. It's very close to being a square. So how I get this to be cut without cutting up the sides of the zine is if I just fold this a little bit and make a snip. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. And now I can cut right to those lines I made. And if I didn't want to see my lines, I would cut on the lines, but I'm cutting just inside the line because I kind of like that border. There we go. And here we go. I often sing as I am making things. Do you do that too? My dog likes to give me the strange eyeballs when I'm singing. She's like, "What are you doing?" Okay, so there. I've got my window open, and maybe I'll decorate it some more. Maybe I like making dots on things. It's very simple. And I just some dots. But again, you can use your imagination to do all kinds of cool things. And I would love to see what it is that you make with this process. So let's see. Let's see if my original, so this piece of paper was just a long piece of paper that I folded in half. And I liked these diagonal stripes because that kind of reminded me of an old TV. So let's see. So now you can just pull, and maybe you could give if you were giving this to someone, you could give them a hint by putting arrows going in either direction. Just tell them that it should go up and down, that they should go up and down. I had a zine on my desk moments ago that was really fun. It was about popcorn. I created a zine all about popcorn. Maybe I'll have to make another one. Okay, so let's see. If we had a zine that was all about popcorn, what would we want to add to it? What would we want to add to it? So we would want to have a nice name for it, right? And I'm going to open this up so that my ink doesn't go all over. So I know this is my front cover and that is my back cover. So let's see. We're gonna, let's see, purple popcorn coming out of a bag. I guess those bags are usually red and white, aren't they? Like those popcorn bags. I can't ever go to the movies and not have popcorn. I have to have popcorn when I go to the movies. So I'm making a zine right now about one of my favorite foods. But you could be making a zine about something that you really care about, that's really important to you. So maybe it's about climate. Maybe it's about how you're feeling right now. You know, we're living in a world with this COVID thing going on, right? So maybe you want to write a zine about how you're feeling. It's a good way to express your feelings. That's one of the things I love about art, is that art is freedom. Art allows you to express yourself. Art allows you to connect with people in different ways. I'm going to call this How to popcorn. So art is really about freedom. If I decide that I want to live in a world where I have a rabbit friend, and this is my Bunsy character that I've developed, and he and I travel all over and do fun Bunsy stuff. If I want to live in a world where a bunny is my friend and we have adventures together, art allows me to do that. If I want to just, if I decide that I want to create my own publishing company, you could create your own publishing company by creating these zines. You can do that. Art allows you to do that. This is my back cover. Remember, we talked about that. So I'm going to put by Filomena 2020. I also think it's a good idea when you're producing your zines to have a theme about what your zine is about, but also to have a visual theme. So for instance, on this catnapper, maybe I will continue to use this purple marker and these wavy lines. It already has this cool dots as a theme, but maybe your theme, part of your visual theme is that you have these brackets on every page. Maybe that's part of your design. Or maybe your design is part of your theme is that you are only going to work in black and white, especially if you're making photocopies of this. If you're making photocopies and they're just going to be black and white, maybe that's your theme for your publication. Again, historically, underground zines were usually made in a series of 100 or less. But again, you know, every rule is meant to be broken a little bit in this concept. You know, if you decide that your zine only gets 7 in a series, and you're going to number them 1 through 7, and that's all you're going to do, that's just fine. You can go along and do that as one of your parameters, one of the rules that you have for your zine. So on this first page, and I remember that this is my first page because I created this template to remind myself of which page is which. So if this is my front and back cover, I know that this is my first page. So this is my first page. And I could, if I wanted to, I could number the pages. 3 and 4. And then remember, these two are upside down, 5 and 6. So what do I need? So I need unpopped popcorn as an ingredient. I need some sort of maybe a butter. And for me, I would choose a vegan butter. So let's see. So I'm giving everyone the ingredients that they need. Let's say salt. And one other thing, let's say I'm also going to put some cinnamon. Cinnamon, or maybe these are, pepper. Maybe I'm going to make a salt and pepper. And just because it's fun, I'm going to put exclamation points on everything because it's my publication and I can do what I want. Okay, and then I'm also going to need a pot to cook my popcorn in with a lid. That's very important. So I need a lid and I need a pot. And I need some sort of heat source, so flames. And if you feel like you're not really good at drawing, first of all, I would ask you to please just keep practicing because that's how you get better. Like I said, you can always cut out images that you find in discarded magazines or even newspapers. you can take copyright free images off the internet that you've printed and size them and cut them out. Heat, and we'll say, be careful with the heat. Okay, and then, oh, this would be cool. So because we have this TV section, we could show the life of a popcorn kernel going through the heat process. Oh my gosh, that's so fun. Okay, so I'm gonna find a way to get some paper that is the right size for that opening. So I'll just do a short one here, but you please take your time. I may be rushing a little bit just because I'm doing this as your class, but please take your time. So maybe our TV will be up too wide. Got to do some more snipping. So maybe our TV will be what the popcorn looks like as it's popping. So I put my strip in, and I'm just gonna put some dots so I know how large I can make each of my drawings. So then I'll drop the dots down and I'll make some more dots. 2, 3, 4. And let's see, can I get another one? I can. Excellent. So 2, 3, 4. So this is going to be in my my Zine TV. So maybe we start off with just what a kernel looks like. So it's kind of this shape, and it's a little bit shiny, and it's kind of got this hard section. And then it starts to pop. It starts to explode and turn into popcorn, and it's still a little shiny there. So again, you'll take your time. I'm just kind of doing this off the cuff. And then eventually it turns into delicious, delicious popcorn that you can eat. Oh, you know what? And I'm gonna make it like a kawaii popcorn. We're going to say, whoa. And we're going to say, this is a sleepy popcorn. Okay, so here we go. So we start off with our kernel there, just kind of sleepy. And then it gets hot and it's gonna explode. Oh my goodness. And then before you know it, it's happy popcorn that's ready to get snacked on. Okay, we have just a couple minutes left here. So I'm going to go on and finish this off camera. I'm going to call this popcorn TV. I'm going to continue on with this project and eventually post it on my social media. You can find me all over the place at FilomenaJackStudio.com. And again, I would love to see the zines that you make. Please, please, please send me some pictures of the zines that you make. And I will eventually post the zines that I make here and that I finish up in my art studio. And you know what? Maybe I will actually create a huge zine someday. Maybe it'll be really big and on the lawn of like my favorite library or something, because libraries and zines and books, they are all of our friends. Okay, we've got 1 minute left here. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Remember, make yourself a template so that you can see where all of your pages are going to go. If you need any help, you can find me at Filomena Jack Studio. And if you're on Patreon, guess what? So am I. You can find me over on Patreon. I have had so much fun here. Thank you to everyone at Empire State Maker Faire. This has been such a fantastic weekend. I can't wait to go back and look at all of the videos. I had a video yesterday where we did watercolor, and that was really fun. You could come and join that. Go find the video. I hope that you keep making art and that you keep making zines. Sending you love. Bye.